I'd like to welcome you to another AISH podcast. I'm glad you're joining us. I know that we're certainly having a lot of fun creating these, and all of us hope that you enjoy the variety of topics and the insights and the information that we provide. So today I'm speaking on presenting some information on what we call the intuitive heart. And I love, so I'm going to present a little bit of science because I love when science meets the mystics and science is validating what we all do these days and what we've known for hundreds, if not thousands of years. But we're going to talk about the intuitive heart. And not everybody, some of us in the circle here, the four of us are what are psychic mediums or intuitives, but not every member in our group is. So I'm going to be giving some basic information out of fairness and respect for them as well, too. I don't want to assume anything because we all know what the word assume does. So we're going to talk about the intuitive heart, not as metaphor, not as emotion, sentimentality, personal preferences, but as the capacity for knowing. And it's a capacity that some of us already have a sense of. I know there were times, in my world 30 years ago that I didn't have any idea, didn't trust it. But I'm going to add the word yet to that. If you don't already have a sense of it, if you may not trust it, may not understand it, I'm going to add the word yet. And those initials mean you are eligible to. Y-E-T, you're eligible to. So that always cracks the door open and leaves space for new awarenesses to enter. And I think that's really valuable. So just ask yourself, and I know if I asked these ladies to raise their hand, they would, if you've ever felt a right decision long before you could, not even long, but before you could even articulate it or explain it or verbalize it, you just had that knowing, right? Happens all the time to you guys. That's because intuition isn't random. It's not random at all. It's actually what we could consider a form of intelligence. And most of us were taught, I know I was, not to rely or only to rely exclusively on my mind for intelligence, not to rely on my intuition, my intuitive heart. And although many meaningful life decisions can often not come from thinking harder, but they can come from listening more deeply. And that's where our intuitive hearts play into the game, listening more deeply. And that deeper listening connects us with our intuitive heart. So if we can imagine the intuitive heart as a field of awareness, a subtle intelligence that perceives truth and logic, because the mind doesn't always have that truth and logic, through resonance rather than logic. Our intuitive hearts, they don't argue with us, they don't persuade, they don't rush, they don't push. The intuitive heart, let me see, the way that emotion reacts, the heart knows. Where instincts protect, the heart guides. There's a big difference there. And our heart's intuition often arrives as quiet certainty. For some people, it's a bodily sense, so it could be somatic as well. Sometimes it's a simple inner yes or no. It could be that too. It requires no explanation. There's no validation needed. And many spiritual traditions point to this, not as belief, but as direct knowing. So we all know the mind, it has that brilliant capacity. It analyzes, it organizes, it compares, it doubts, it constructs, it plans. And the mind is always retrospective. It looks for patterns, but it uses the past to predict the future based on our past experiences, which is what Kelly was sharing about, is limiting, and very constrictive. Yet, there's my yet again. The heart is present centered. It operates in the present moment. It senses coherence, truth, alignment right now, not yesterday, not tomorrow, but right now. It's a now. It integrates emotions and the personal values and wisdom. So the challenge it doesn't come down to choosing between the heart and the mind. The wisdom comes in learning the highest roles and applications for both. So where the mind when the mind leads without the heart, life can become empty, inefficient. No, excuse me, it's efficient when the mind leaves, but it's empty. Our life experiences can be empty if we have a propensity or learning to ignore our intuitive hearts. And when the heart leads without the mind, the insights gained can lack form or direction or marching orders, if you want to put it that way. The intuitive heart perceives the direction, and the mind figures out how to walk towards it or how to walk to it, how to walk that direction. So they both have value. Personally speaking, I think the intuitive heart outshines the mind in terms of value, yet working together, they can create embodied wisdom to guide us towards the fulfilling experiences, take us down one path and not another. Um, I know I've had a few experiences, and I call those ones where I disregarded what my intuitive heart was telling me. And I did this along, I don't know, raised a Southern Baptist, you listen to what God says and you read the Bible and that kind of stuff, right? So I suppressed all my knowings as a child, and I ignored them into my 20s. And then I was about 28 and I had what I call a spiritual 2x4 because I had ignored my intuitive heart and wound up in a car wreck with two kids. Um, right? Everybody was fine, but that was my, all right, spirit. I'm listening. I'm paying attention now. I got it now. And the other element that I wanted to share and talk about, because I think herein lies the magic as well. Here's where science is meeting up with what our mystics have known forever. Modern science now reflects or has told us it's called the heart brain. Has anybody heard of the heart brain? I see Melissa nodding her head. Kelly, you look perplexed. Are you? The heart brain? Yeah. Our hearts hold 40,000 sensory neurites and actually send messages to and information to the brain. And then the brain responds, if it's body, it responds within the body, or if it's action, to go a direction, or if it's a plan, or then the brain responds to that. But the heart makes even more decisions. It sends chemical signals, energetic signals, electrical signals. In fact, if you're unfamiliar with Heart Math Institute, I think, yeah, Institute, they have performed scientific tests with instruments to find out how far out the heart's electromagnetic uh, field is. And they ascertained that the heart goes further than their machines were incapable of measuring the length of their distance. They didn't have machines big enough and bad enough to figure it out. So I think it was 10 feet, but they know it's more than that. So that's fascinating. And that's what the heart brain is. Does that help you, Kelly? Yeah. Uh, so beyond science, I'm doing it again. I get so excited about this stuff. I tend to talk really fast, go off in different directions. But beyond science, many of us have experienced the magic of our own intuitive heart directly. And I'm going to ask a couple of questions. You can nod your head, or just this is for people who might not understand that this is the heart, the intuition of the heart speaking. Have you ever been drawn towards something without understanding or knowing why? I have. Have you ever sensed when a situation is off despite logic and despite the reassurances that you've been told otherwise? You're being told this, and this other thing is true, and that's why it's off, right? That's your heart talking to you, your intuitive heart. And there's been times, and I bet you guys have experienced this, where you have just flat out known beyond a shadow of a doubt. You have known whatever it is, right? That's what happened to me in that accident. I knew that man was going to hit me, and I didn't make any changes. So it's not just imagination, it's intuitive intelligence, and the heart reads coherence and feels truths as resonance. And that's a big mouthful. Coherence simply is an internal system of operating harmoniously. So imagine the heart and the brain functioning harmoniously. And within that heart brain, it's also in charge of our central nervous system, which also includes the vagal nerve. So polyvagal elements come into this too. So that's coherence. It's two or more systems operating harmoniously. And resonance, and I know you guys have experienced this, it's generally that external connection, those aha moments. You've said it, that resonates with me, right? So it's coherence. The heart does coherence and resonance. And one of the most important beneficial skills is learning how the heart communicates because it's different than the communication of the mind. So the heart, the intuitive hits, I call them, they're subtle, they're neutral in tone, they're calm and spacious. It's that inner knowing. And it's also grounded, which is another benefit to being to remind it's for me to remind myself throughout the day to get grounded. And then the heart's intuition also come in as hits that are aligned with your personal core values. So my personal core values could be different from Melissa's, could be different from Kelly's, could be different from anybody's, but my heart's intuition will be alignment with my values. It doesn't shout, right? It doesn't have to justify, doesn't pressure, push, persuade, doesn't do any of that. Where fear-based signals do. They can come across often as urgent, tight, repetitive, constrictive, reactive, right? And they are externally approval based. Another one of those limiting thoughts that Kelly touched on. Exactly. So if it feels rushed, contracted, dramatic, that's more than likely fear. If it's simple and grounded and peaceful and calm and quiet, it's likely the heart. Now, let me add this, and Kelly shared on this as well. It doesn't mean that heart-led paths are always easy to follow. Right. And they ain't always easy. They're a little rocky sometimes. And they're clean, they're uncluttered, they're free of inner chaos. And that's the significance. Where how many battles have you had in your mind? How many times have you been in these repetitive, habituated patterns, thinking the same thing over and over and over again? And it's a battle inside. That's not the heart. Um, so the heart aligns us with our truth, where fear aligns us with survival and instinct. And here's something that a lot of people often might not consider because heart, any intuition, although this ship is turning, used to be classified and boxed in as a woo-woo, right? Fake stuff, right? You're whacked out in the head if you're following your intuition. Although my great grandmother was considered a witch because she followed her intuition all the time. In a coal mine in town in southern Kentucky, she called my mom in Arizona when my mom was in labor with me and said, "Is it a boy or a girl?" And they hadn't talked in days. So she was considered a witch, a loving witch, right? And heart intuitive practice is often very practical. We can use it to make our decisions, personal, business, daily. What do I eat? What sounds good? It can help us guide us in relationships, in our creative expression, in leadership and service as well. So when we tap in and use it consistently, consciously, intuition can save us. Here's a practicality time, reduce our inner conflict, create alignment with who we are and how we act out in the world. You've heard the expression, follow your heart. I worked with some kind of a physical therapist one time, and she told me as I was leaving her office, and her point was to get to reinforce standing up straight. So she said, lead with your heart. And I thought that was the dumbest thing in the world. I turned around on my heels and I said, I always lead with my heart. So she was talking one thing and I meant the other. I always lead with my heart, right? So the heart's always communicating with us, yet often, and we might not be listening. So there's some things that can block, and it's the human quality of us, block our ability to receive the messages from our intuitive hearts. And I think that there's a boatload of people who are experiencing this these days is chronic overthinking and overanalyzing up in the head. Emotional overwhelm. It's knocking people over these days, the emotional overwhelm. They're just everything is so heavy. Stress, of course, fear of being wrong. What if, so there's that doubt, and fear of what others might think of you. I wasn't about to share as a teenager what I intuited. There was no way I was going to do that, right? Um, and another element that plays into it, and this is humanity, and this is us coming from a place of smallness, is needing external validation by others, as opposed to trusting the wisdom and the insight and the guidance of our intuitive heart. And, like I said, I learned to mistrust it and not even acknowledge it or speak of it, just ignore it. But uh, because I think, like I said, I think that ship is turning, which is a good thing. And reconnecting with our intuitive heart, it's not about, understand this, it's not about gaining something new. It's about removing interference because we're all intuitive. The heart doesn't need to be activated, it needs to be heard and listened to. And here's something I'll let you guys know. Intuition is not reserved, hard, especially hard intuition. I believe that's one of the many places spirit dwells. Isn't reserved for spiritual moments. It's not reserved for those who have spiritually evolved or gurus. We all have it. We all have it in that ability. So how am I doing on time? I want to take you through a guided experience. It's a short one, but I just want to demonstrate how you can utilize this. I've only got a few minutes. I'll talk you through it and you can do it on your own. Okay. So this is one of the ways to expand your ability to hear the messages from your intuitive heart. So, just find a place where you can be quiet and still. And with a few breaths, we always begin with our breath. Put either one or both hands on your heart. And knowing that, make sure you're in a safe and comfortable place to do this. We don't want anybody listening to the podcast driving. So, with your eyes closed, just notice your breath in its own natural rhythm, just as it is. And with your hand on your heart space there, you might notice tingling or warmth, vibration, or maybe nothing at all. And that's perfectly fine. And I'm going to invite you to ask one simple, neutral question without any emotional charge. What does my heart want me to know right now? What does my heart want me to know right now? And just notice what arises. It could be a word, an image, a sensation, maybe a feeling of clarity, or a giggle. The heart speaks often one time and speaks softly. So just take another breath in, and when you're ready, you can begin to gently return to present moment awareness, to the room, the awareness of your body and your breath. And if you've got paper and pen right there, easy in front of you, you can write down just a couple of words that you might have experienced, just to kind of encapsulate your experience. And you can dive deeper in if you want another time. So there's some things that we can do to strengthen our intuitive heart. They're simple practices, but they're significant and they make a difference. You can repeat the exercise that we just did. You can ask the heart small questions or big ones, whatever you want to do. And then some simple, still, and quiet moments or exercises, like yoga, meditation, noticing, using your senses to notice what's in the room where you are, or what's ever in the area where you are. Simple moments of still and quiet attention, just focusing on that heart space. And acting on low risk, intuitive nudges so that you can avoid spiritual 2x4 like I experienced. Act on those low risk, intuitive nudges. And then reflect on those nudges the results that you experienced does because you followed what your heart told, instructed or guided you to experience or do. And let's see, yoga, meditation, breath work, connecting with nature. Go for a nature walk and invite your intuitive heart to go with you as your walking partner. That's fun. Um, Journal from your heart. Let your heart speak to you. You can ask that question. What's most important for me to know? And I do my, meditations in the morning. You can ask from your heart, what's most important for me to know about today? And then journal what you get, with the caveat that proper grammar and proper spelling and punctuation are unimportant when you journal, right? So just after you ask the heart, what does my heart want me to know for today? And then write your answers down or what came to you. And they're simple practices, and the heart learns that you're paying attention, so more information and intuitive hits come as a result. Each time you listen and respond, that signal, that connection becomes even clearer, even more powerful. So let's see, my timer just went off, so I'll wrap it up. In closing, I want to say that the intuitive heart isn't mystical in the sense of being distant or unreachable, or like I said, only available to those evolved spiritual beings. It's intimate, it's immediate, it is, I almost said intuitive, it's wise, and it has your highest and greatest good as your North Star. It's always present, always available to everyone. So the invitation is to be aware as you move forward that it's unimportant to listen harder. That strikes me as white knuckling it. It's unimportant to listen harder. You just simply need to listen more gently and more deeply. Because your heart already knows. Your job moving forward is remembering how to hear it. So anyone want to add to that? Anything?
I'd be curious to know what everybody got. What you
Yeah.
think?
Oh yeah. Does anyone want to share? What did your heart want you to know?
My heart said, I love you.
Oh, I love that.
Says you are
You're,
enough. You are enough.
oh,
Oops. You
love
are.
it, love it. Perfect.
Yeah, that was an interesting exercise because it just was right there. It just came right on up.
Yep. Yep.
And it'll always tell you what you need to know, not necessarily what you think you need to know, but
Or
because
what
that
you want to hear.
yeah, I was surprised I got that because I kind of think I know that, but apparently they thought I needed the reminder. So
The PS.
grateful. In case you forgot
Right?
momentarily. It's good stuff, Susie. I really I think that's everybody experiences it different, and the quiet and stillness is absolutely where you need to go in order to to get this stuff. And and I always like to say it's our birthright,
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
stuff, this connection. And I think it is to an infinite intelligence that you have that connection, and you get it, you establish it and learn. There's almost like the more you revisit it, the
Hmm.
more you come to understand the energy of how it feels being in the pocket of it.
Nice. That's a nice metaphor. And the beauty of it is it doesn't take an hour and a half worth of stillness or meditative state. You got your answer lickety split. My dad would say faster than grease lightning.
Yeah.
And I imagine you did too, Melissa. And they come fast, right?
I think
Simple,
that's why
easy.
people second guess themselves
Yep. Because they're up in
because
their
it's
head.
Yeah.
it's right there and it's so fast and it's so simple. They're looking for this transformational sentence and it's simple.
Right? Or this complicated thing. Yeah. That's the
And,
Hmm.
beauty.
and just because I'm nosy and we have like almost 7 minutes left, I I found that was really interesting what you said about what happened when you didn't listen.
Oh, yeah.
Anybody else, I'd be curious to know because we've all had them, right? Anybody care to share? Like when you haven't listened? One comes to mind from Catherine sharing with me one day. So I know that she's got them. What comes to mind,
Mine
Catherine?
was pivotal. It was from that moment forward that
Yeah,
I dedicated myself to always follow my intuitive
right.
hits. Always.
Because that could have gone so another
Oh,
way.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
But isn't
Yeah.
that why it happens that way? This is how we learn.
I'll confess, I had many opportunities to trust it. Many, many,
Mhm.
many. I was an adult that time out, away from home. Like I said, I had those two babies, and I have a belief, this is mine, that spirit talks to us and gives us signs and gives us messages, and we tend to dismiss and ignore and keep moving on. And it takes that metaphorical 2x4 right upside the head to get our
Mhm.
attention. And that was my spiritual 2x4.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's too bad it takes that, but we are humans. Uh, I mean, I knew for a long time before I moved from Northern California down here where I am now, because I would see the skyline of Sacramento when I was driving to get on the freeway. Because I lived out kind of out in the country, and I would be driving into town. I could always see the downtown skyline, and I always felt this body sense of, oh, I'm where I belong. And then one day I'm driving toward the freeway, and that sense of belonging gone. And I
Mm.
thought, oh, I always feel like that. What do you mean I don't have it? I never had it again. So then I started questioning, well, if I don't live here, then where would I live? And I got no answer. Probably didn't take time to even listen to an answer. I just blah, blah, blah. And then I got the cosmic 2x4. And that's when I went, oh, let me just sit in the silence and hear what else you want to say to me. Don't give me that 2x4 anymore.
Right. Don't need any.
No, stop hitting me with that thing. So now I'm much better at listening. But the whole time I was packing to move, I was saying, listen, watch, look, I'm packing. See this? Packing. House is on the market. I'm packing.
Save it.
Yeah.
What about you, Melissa?
Oh Lord. I call it the stupid switch.
What do you mean? Oh,
When you don't listen, when I don't listen, that's the stupid switch. And I'm acutely aware in my body that it is not the right thing. I know this.
mhm.
It's very physical for me, but I can override it better than anybody.
That's good.
Proud of
You
it.
just watch me.
Sometimes they'll even give you other signs that are undeniable too, that are meant to be not always a 2x4, but to know that you're covered,
Right. Right.
to
Kind
know
of a
that you are
confirmation.
being watched over and you are being protected. Because I've had a situation where I was on the freeway that I should have been in a horrible accident, and it did not happen. And also, I remember I was at a gas station. I had my son, he was about 2 or 3 at the time. And for whatever reason, I was stepping across from the pump side to the little island, and I was going into the little convenience store, and something told me to stop.
Mm.
And I stopped, and the car just went zoom. Now I know if I hadn't heard that stop, I would have stepped down with my
Mhm.
son and we would have been hit. That little
Yeah.
boy would have not survived that because this car, I mean, it was moving. And I never forgot that because that was ooh, that wasn't
Mhm.
me. I'm covered, you know?
Yeah.
So those can be equally as impactful too.
Oh God. Yeah.
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 Well, this was great,
Love it.
Susie.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining us. And we'll see you again next time.
Okay, until the next time, everybody. Bye-bye.